Hey and welcome, I'm Hammeh, and news. Overwatch Archives has something new coming to it this year, and it is Overwatch Retribution. In this video I'm going to talk about where I am, the surprise I've been mentioning to you guys in videos for a little bit. I'm actually out in Los Angeles and I've visited Blizzard HQ to learn more about Overwatch Retribution and about my trip, and also about where you can find out more about Retribution from what is publicly available and publicly been told by Blizzard in the coming days before April the 10th when the new Overwatch Archives event launches. There has also been a blog released by Overwatch just now as I'm making this video, so I'm quickly going to analyse that with again what is publicly known before I came out here to California. Timecodes as always in the description below if you'd like to skip around the video. Okay, let's get stuck in. Okay, so Overwatch Retribution. Well, we know the name of this, we know the logo as well, which I shared on my Twitter yesterday at FailcraftCasts, and in the developer update yesterday released about Overwatch Archives and the event, Jeff and Tim Ford had a bit of a chat about what is going to be coming.
There are all of these cool past moments in Overwatch history, and by going into the archives we can relive those. And Uprising was just one of those events.
So with that mention of the reason for the name Archives, and we now have been shared Overwatch Archives Retribution, I'll let you guys put two and two together on that. And Jeff did say in this update that there are more parts of content in the event in addition to Uprising's playable story last year and everything to do with Uprising. So Uprising as it was last year is coming back, but there is more as well. Now the other thing that the team mentioned was that there's going to be a reveal on the Overwatch League stream kicking off for Stage 3 tomorrow. That's Wednesday night in the USA time. Now if you're in the EU, that timing is a little bit more late in the evening. It's going to be at the beginning of the broadcast, but if you can, you should tune in to the Overwatch League stream on Twitch then, because there will be more about Retribution that's going to be talked about. If you can't tune into the stream, I'm going to be making videos about that as soon as that news is live and happening, so do keep an eye out on my YouTube channel here. Hit a subscribe button below if you haven't already, and you'll be updated with everything as and when I can. So in the dev update, Jeff also mentioned that the favourite Shimada brother, and he's left that up to you to decide which your favourite is going to be getting a skin. Well, obviously Uprising is coming back. We now have Overwatch Archives as the name of this event, and in every previous event we have had, of course, some new skins added and things on top of last year's content. So I think it's fairly safe to say that Overwatch Archives is going to be similar, and there's some really awesome stuff that I can't talk about, but you're really going to enjoy it when it comes and when it gets announced. So to quickly segue into the sort of secret I've been mentioning on the channel a bit in the last few weeks, but I've not been able to talk to you about. Well, Blizzard very kindly, and thanks to them, got me and a bunch of people out to their headquarters in Irvine. So we're in Los Angeles, California at the moment, and these photos you're watching are some of the photos I was allowed to take when we went on a campus tour around Blizzard, checking out all of their different offices and things like that. So what can I say about what we've been up to? Well, obviously Blizzard are going to be telling the story about Overwatch Archives and Retribution, and I and several people have kindly been invited to be part of that. So naturally I can't just go and speak everything that we've been told straight away. But what I can say about what we've been up to, well, we heard some things about Retribution, and we got to take a look and a little bit more with some things about Retribution. As for the specifics, well, you'll have to wait and see. I will have videos, as I said, out this week and beyond covering what is going to be talked about and all things to do with Retribution as well, so do keep an eye out for those on the channel. Suffice to say, I am amazingly excited, and I'm sure if you're a fan of Overwatch Uprising last year, you will be very excited for Retribution coming up. Now, the final thing I'm going to do in this video is, as carefully as I can, talk about things that I was speculating on and that were news, as it were, before I flew out for this event. So this is nothing to do with the event, as it were. And then also the blog that the Overwatch team have just announced, a little teaser again. Now I'm going to analyse that blog with only stuff that is publicly known right now, so please don't take anything I say in analysing that blog as being secret spoilers or anything from this trip I've been on, because it isn't. Before I look at the blog, let's quickly talk about an update to the Melbourne Mural. Now you may have seen me share a video the other day about a mural in Melbourne, Australia that showed Genji and also McCree in a undefined place with a broken window behind them. That mural, some eagle-eyed people have noticed, is actually being updated. If you have a look at Genji's outfit, he's being updated to have Blackwatch Genji's outfit and skin in. All I can say is, isn't that interesting? I wonder what that could possibly mean or be to do with. Very, very interesting indeed. Now, obviously, before my trip and before this mural even, we got a teaser from the Overwatch team, which was the Archives teaser from last year on Twitter, but it had a Blackwatch logo in the background. So we have the Blackwatch logo in the background of that teaser that we've already seen publicly. We now have what looks to be a Blackwatch Genji being put together. So Blizzard are publicly teasing this theme of Blackwatch. Okay, finally, let's have a look at the little blog teaser that has only just gone live. It is called From the Archive of Atlas News, Overwatch responding to an attack on an Oslo facility. Now, before we go into the blog, I'll draw your attention to the bottom of this picture. It says, editor's note, this archived article appeared in an edition of Atlas News published 8 years ago. In the little teaser that we saw, where it flashed a little bit of text up and we saw that maybe the Overwatch archive on Twitter from Uprising had a different name behind it or something like that, one of the numbers kind of looked like an 8. So there's already a tie between the 8 years in this blog and the 8 years that was publicly perhaps teased, if you could kind of imagine it in those numbers, by Overwatch in that Twitter teaser. 8 years ago would put this, of course, before the events of Uprising and shortly before the sort of fall of Overwatch, as it were. Let's not forget. In terms of the Overwatch timeline, Fading Glory on the trailer for Jack Morrison says that the Swiss HQ kind of went bang with Morrison and Reyes missing presumed dead about 6 years or so ago. That 6 years ago was given when Overwatch launched back in 2016, of course. So Uprising was 7 years back and this Oslo incident was 8 years back. Now, Overwatch are conducting in this blog a full review of security procedures following a recent attack on their facilities in Oslo, Norway. So we now know that Overwatch have some Norwegian facilities. Jack Morrison at a televised news conference said that it's being investigated. It's too early to identify the parties responsible, but they've identified a number of suspects, but they weren't giving any more details, and said Overwatch will not rest until the ones behind this attack are brought to justice. So what's interesting in this blog, and I'm just analysing this purely from what we know publicly? Well, we know that in the final few years before Overwatch fell, it's been said in the Overwatch's back blog, that was when Overwatch launched, and this Fading Glory and the trailer for Jack Morrison blog, which actually I think goes back to mid-2015. So we know that Overwatch was accused of a lot of things in these blogs, like infringing on sovereign countries' territory and rights. We actually saw that in last year's Uprising when Overwatch went into London without the permission of the British government, it seems, as well as sort of all kinds of other things. Also in last year's Uprising comic, in this panel behind Jack Morrison, we see various things that Overwatch was clearly having trouble with in the news. Things like this problem in Cairo where an Overwatch official was murdered, also this incident or something that happened in Japan. We've also seen other things going on, such as mentions of an incident in Venice in Moira's bio, all things that I've talked about in previous videos anyway. So with this blog, we now go a year before this panel in this comic, and we see that Overwatch actually was attacked in Oslo. So Overwatch, towards the end of its existence, has been having a lot of problems, and a year before even Uprising, King's Row Uprising happened, Overwatch was actually directly attacked. So Overwatch is, by this stage of things, even a year before King's Row Uprising, vulnerable to this kind of attack. As for what it is and who it is, I guess we're going to find out, who knows, maybe in the coming days, maybe in the next week. What would you personally like to see out of Overwatch Retribution? Do let me know your thoughts, theories and comments from what's publicly available in the comments below. Throw us a subscribe if you want to see loads more videos on Retribution and more coming out in the next week, and all kinds of cool stuff too. I'm sorry I can't share more right now, but as soon as I can, I'm going to share loads of cool stuff with you, so I really can't wait for that. And keep an eye on the channel tomorrow, particularly around the Overwatch League stream, or after that, depending on where you are in the world, for some cool stuff that Blizzard are going to be announcing and that they've talked about already. Cheers for tuning in. I've been Hammeh. Take it easy.